What if I told you that the secret to making a man fall deeply in love with you isn't about grand gestures, extravagant gifts, or perfectly rehearsed romantic moments? What if the key to his heart was hidden in the smallest, most effortless things you do? Things so subtle, yet so powerful, that they bypass his logic and strike straight at his emotions. Most women believe that to capture a man's heart, they have to impress him in big, noticeable ways. They think they need to be stunning, say all the right things, or make major sacrifices to keep his attention. But here's the truth. Men don't fall in love because of big moments. They fall in love because of small, consistent, and meaningful ones. These simple actions trigger deep emotional connections, make him feel valued, wanted, and appreciated, and awaken something primal inside him, something that makes him see you, not just as another woman, but as his woman. Once you understand how powerful these little things are, your entire approach to love and attraction will shift. No more second-guessing his feelings. No more worrying about whether you're doing enough. No more feeling like you have to chase his attention. Because when you master these small, yet profound acts of affection, he will be the one who can't stop thinking about you. He will crave your presence. He will feel drawn to you in a way he can't quite explain. So, let's dive into these 7 small but incredibly effective things you can do to melt a man's heart. Things that make him feel not only loved, but truly seen. And trust me, number 4 is something most women overlook, but it's one of the most powerful ways to secure a man's devotion. So, don't miss it. 1. Giving him your undivided attention. In a world where attention is constantly being pulled in a million different directions, notifications buzzing, screens lighting up, social media demanding constant engagement, there is something undeniably powerful about a woman who chooses to be fully present with a man. Imagine this: you're sitting across from him at a cafe, the scent of coffee in the air, conversations humming around you. But in that moment, he has all of you. Your phone is nowhere in sight. You're not glancing at the clock. You're not distracted by a passing thought. Instead, your eyes are locked onto his, your body language open, and your focus entirely on him. Do you realize how rare that is? How intoxicating that is for a man? Men live in a world where they are expected to be strong, rational, and self-reliant. Society often places an invisible burden on them to work, to provide, to perform, and to suppress their emotions. They are told to be leaders, to push forward, to carry responsibility without complaint. But here's the truth. No matter how independent or self-sufficient a man appears, he still craves to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood. He still yearns for a place where he can just be, where he doesn't have to compete, where he doesn't have to impress, where he can let down his guard. And that's where you come in. Your undivided attention is not just about listening to him. It's about how you listen. Anyone can sit and hear words, but not everyone can make someone feel truly heard. When a man speaks, he doesn't just want his words acknowledged. He wants his emotions beneath those words to be recognized. He wants to feel like what he's saying matters. Have you ever noticed how a man's entire demeanor changes when he feels like someone is genuinely interested in what he has to say? He leans in, his voice steadies, and his energy shifts. That's because being seen and valued is an emotional trigger for men, just as much as it is for women. It's not just about nodding and smiling at the right moments. It's about engagement, curiosity, and presence. The way you slightly tilt your head when he's explaining something, showing him that you're absorbing every word. The way your eyes soften when he shares a personal story, signaling that you understand. The way your lips part slightly as if you're hanging on to his words. Not because you're trying to seduce him, but because you're fully immersed in the conversation. This level of attention creates a magnetic pull between you and him, something he won't even be able to explain. It makes him feel special in a way that very few people make him feel. The truth is, most men don't experience this kind of attention often. Even in relationships, it's easy for moments to become transactional. Did you pick up the groceries? How was work? Are you going to be home late? Conversations start to feel like checklists. Interactions become surface level, and the depth of emotional connection weakens. But when you choose to be different, when you give him an experience where he feels completely immersed in your energy, it shifts something in him. Suddenly he starts associating you with peace, comfort, and intrigue. This is what makes Stoic love so powerful. Many men, especially those who embody Stoicism, are used to carrying their emotions in silence. They're used to being the ones who provide stability, who remain strong in the face of challenges, and who rarely have a space to be emotionally vulnerable. But when he's with you, when he sees that you are not just there, but fully present, it disrupts his expectations. It makes him realize that with you, he doesn't have to perform or prove himself. He can just exist. But here's where things get even more fascinating. When a woman gives a man her undivided attention, he starts craving it. He starts missing it when it's not there. He finds himself wondering when he'll get to experience it again. This is how deep emotional connections are built. Not through forced conversations or grand romantic gestures, but through the small intimate moments of presence. And let's be honest, have you ever been in a situation where you were talking to someone, but you could tell they weren't really listening? Maybe they were nodding along, but their eyes kept darting to their phone. Maybe they gave the occasional but weren't truly engaged. How did that make you feel? Probably unimportant, disconnected, and unseen. Now imagine the opposite. When someone looks at you like you are the most interesting person in the world, like your words have weight, like your presence alone is enough. That feeling is addictive. That feeling makes you want to stay. The key is to make him feel that way, not by trying too hard, not by forcing deep conversations, but simply by being present. And presence isn't just about words, it's about energy. The way your body language leans toward him, the way your eyes hold his gaze, fraction of a second longer than usual. The way you subtly mirror his expressions without even realizing it. These small subconscious cues tell him, I see you, I'm here with you, you matter. But let's take this one step further. Attention isn't just about listening. It's also about how you respond when he shares something about his day. Do you ask thoughtful questions? Do you follow up on something he mentioned a week ago, showing that you remembered? Do you offer insight, humor, or perspective in a way that keeps the conversation flowing effortlessly? When a man sees that you're not just listening, but truly engaging, it activates a deep level of emotional attraction. And here's a secret. The way you give attention in everyday moments determines how much he craves you when you're apart. Think about it. If he associates you with an energy that makes him feel good, safe, appreciated, and desired, then when you're not around, he will feel your absence. He will find himself wanting to text you, to call you, to be near you again. And the best part, you won't have to chase him, because the feeling he gets when he's with you will be something he doesn't want to lose. So the next time you're with him, try this. Put the phone away, look into his eyes longer than you normally would. Listen, not just to his words, but to the emotions behind them. React with curiosity, warmth, and genuine interest. And then, watch what happens, because sometimes the smallest things leave the biggest impact. 2, supporting him in front of others. Picture this. He's in the middle of telling a story in a group setting, maybe with friends, family, or even colleagues. He's sharing an idea, a personal achievement, or just a simple thought, and in that moment, he glances at you. What he's looking for isn't obvious, but it's instinctual. He's looking for reassurance. Will you support him? Will you acknowledge his words? Will you make him feel like what he's saying holds weight? And then you do. You nod, you smile, and when he finishes, you add something like, "That's actually so true. I've seen how much effort he puts into this," or, "I love the way he explains things. It always makes so much sense." And just like that, something changes. His confidence solidifies, his energy shifts, and he stands a little taller. Whether he consciously realizes it or not, his emotional connection to you deepens. Why? Because men crave validation in ways they rarely admit. Society tells them they have to be strong, independent, and self-sufficient. But underneath it all, they want to feel appreciated, valued, and most importantly, respected. When a woman publicly supports a man, when she stands by him in front of others, it triggers something profound within him. It tells him, she's on my side, she believes in me, she respects me. And that feeling, that's the kind of feeling that makes a man fall harder than he ever expected. Most women underestimate the power of public support. They assume men don't need verbal encouragement, or that their opinions don't carry much weight in social situations. But here's the secret. A man will always remember how you made him feel in front of others. Always. He might forget what you said in private, but he will never forget the moment you lifted him up when other people were watching. This is where stoic love comes into play. Men who practice stoicism often internalize their emotions. They might not always express their insecurities, but that doesn't mean they don't have them. When a woman actively supports a man in public, whether by agreeing with his thoughts, defending his perspective, or simply showing pride in who he is, it reinforces his sense of worth. And not just any kind of worth, but the kind that makes him see you as irreplaceable. Think about it. In a world where criticism and competition are everywhere, where men often feel judged by their performance, their success, or their ability to provide, what do you think it means to him when you step in and say, "I see you, I value you, I'm proud of you"? It means everything. But let's make this practical. How do you actually do this in a way that feels natural, effortless, and powerful? It's simple. You pay attention. You notice the things he does well, the way he thinks, the effort he puts into things. And when the moment presents itself, you amplify those qualities. Let's say someone is discussing work ethic, and you casually add, "I don't think I've ever seen anyone as dedicated as he is. He puts his heart into everything he does." Or maybe he shares an opinion in a group conversation, and instead of just letting it pass, you respond, I love the way you think about things. You always have such an interesting perspective. These are small moments, yes, but they stick. They linger in his mind. They make him look at you differently. They make him feel safe, respected, and most importantly, admired. And here's where it gets even more powerful. When a man feels admired, he naturally starts wanting to be better. He wants to be more of the man you see in him. He wants to rise to the image you reflect back to him. Your words don't just validate who he is, they inspire who he's becoming. But let's flip this for a second. What happens when a woman doesn't support a man in front of others? What if, instead of lifting him up, she dismisses his ideas, corrects him in a condescending way, or even worse, undermines him in public? The damage is immediate. The emotional disconnection is instant. Because here's the truth. Respect is a man's love language. It's what makes him feel connected. It's what makes him feel valued. And when a woman supports him, not just in private, but where others can see, he doesn't just feel loved, he feels chosen. And that's how you make a man fall for you in a way he can't explain. So here's your challenge. The next time you're with him in a group setting, find a moment to genuinely lift him up. Not in an over-the-top way, not in a forced way, but in a way that feels real, natural, and aligned with who he is. Watch how he reacts. Watch how his body language shifts. Watch how later that night, he looks at you just a little differently, like he's seeing something in you that he can't quite put into words. Because the truth is, you just became unforgettable to him. 3. Sending thoughtful just because messages. There's something undeniably powerful about an unexpected message. Imagine this. He's in the middle of a busy workday, juggling tasks, mentally preparing for a long meeting, or perhaps stuck in traffic, his mind occupied with responsibilities. His phone buzzes. He glances at it, expecting another reminder, another demand, another notification pulling him in a dozen different directions. But instead, it's from you. No reason for this message. Just wanted to say, I was thinking about you. Hope your day is going well. And suddenly, something shifts. The stress, the exhaustion, the weight of the day, just for a moment, it all fades. Because in the midst of his chaos, you appeared. Not to ask for something, not because you needed a response, but simply because you cared. Most people communicate with a purpose. They text because they need something, because they have a question, because they expect a reply. But when you reach out to him for no reason other than to remind him that he's on your mind, it taps into something deep inside him. It makes him feel valued in a way that is rare and irreplaceable. Men, especially those who embody stoicism, often carry their emotions quietly. They don't always express when they're overwhelmed, when they're tired, or when they feel unseen. But that doesn't mean they don't crave connection. That doesn't mean they don't want to feel appreciated. The difference is, they don't always ask for it. That's why these small, unexpected messages are so powerful, because they meet a need he won't always verbalize, but will always feel. And here's the secret. It's not about the words themselves. It's about the energy behind them. A simple, "Hey, hope you're having a good day," is nice, but a message that carries warmth, that carries a sense of intimacy, that carries a touch of playfulness or care, that's what lingers in his mind. It's not just the fact that you sent a message, it's the way it makes him feel. Consider the difference. Just thinking about you. Hope your day is as amazing as you are. Saw something today that reminded me of you, and it made me smile. I know you're busy, but just wanted to say I appreciate you. Each of these messages subtly reinforces an emotional connection. Each one makes him feel special, noticed, and most importantly, missed. Because when he sees that you're thinking about him, he starts thinking about you too. And not just in a casual way. He starts associating you with warmth, with comfort, with a kind of emotional safety that is rare. But let's take this even deeper. It's not just about brightening his day. It's about creating a rhythm of connection. One that doesn't demand, one that doesn't overwhelm, but one that consistently reminds him, I see you. I appreciate you. You matter to me. This is where the magic happens, because when a man begins to feel that level of consistent, effortless connection, something shifts inside him. He stops seeing you as just another person in his life. He starts feeling drawn to you in a way he can't explain. And this isn't about texting all day. It's not about needing constant communication. In fact, the power of these messages lies in their unexpected nature. They work best when they appear out of nowhere, when they aren't tied to a conversation, when they don't need a reply. The less pressure you place on the exchange, the more powerful the impact. Because here's the truth, men don't always respond in words, but they respond in action. He might not always reply with a long emotional text back. He might just say, "That's sweet," or "Thanks you too." But don't mistake a simple response for a lack of impact. Because later that night, when he's winding down from his day, he'll think about it. He'll think about you. He'll replay the way it made him feel. And that's where Stoic love comes into play. Stoicism teaches men to focus on what truly matters, to filter out distractions, to remain steady in the face of emotions. But even the most disciplined, rational Stoic man is still human. He still responds to warmth, to care, to the feeling of being chosen. And when a woman communicates her presence in a way that is subtle but undeniable, he begins to feel something that no amount of logic can control: attachment. Because when you show up for him in these small, effortless ways, it stands out. It becomes something he looks forward to, something he doesn't even realize he's craving, until he finds himself waiting for it. And here's where it gets interesting. Over time, he starts doing the same for you. The more he experiences that connection, the more he begins to reflect it back. Maybe at first it's just a simple response, but then one day, he's the one reaching out. He's the one sending a quick message in the middle of his day. He's the one remembering something you mentioned, because now you're in his mind. You've created an emotional rhythm that he starts wanting to maintain. But let's talk about what not to do. One mistake many women make is turning these messages into a form of seeking validation. Instead of sending a text with warmth and confidence, they send messages with the energy of, "I hope he responds. I hope this makes him like me more. I hope this reassures me that he's thinking about me." And here's the truth. Men can feel the difference. A message that comes from a place of neediness doesn't land the same way. It doesn't pull him in. It doesn't make him feel more connected. So the key? Detach from the outcome. Send the message because you want to, not because you need a response. Send it from a place of confidence, from a place of abundance, from a place that says, "I already know my value. I'm just letting you know that you're on my mind." Because that's what makes it powerful. That's what makes him feel like you're different. That's what makes him want more. So if you're wondering whether this really works, try it. Send a thoughtful message, not one that adds a reply, not one that puts pressure on him, but one that simply lets him feel your presence. Then watch. Watch how his energy shifts. Watch how his responses start to change. Watch how, over time, he begins craving the connection without even realizing why. Because sometimes, the most effortless things are the most unforgettable. 4. Compliments about his personality. There's something deeply powerful about feeling seen, truly seen. Not just for what you do, not just for how you look, but for who you are at your core. And if there's one thing men rarely hear, it's genuine compliments about their personality. Society often tells them that their worth is measured by their success, their ability to provide, or their physical strength. They're expected to perform, to achieve, to be useful. But how often does someone stop and say, "I admire who you are, not just what you do"? Now imagine what happens when you're the woman who gives him that experience. Imagine the impact when you recognize not just his actions, but his character, the small, subtle, deeply human parts of him that most people overlook. This is where true emotional connection is formed. Think about this. If you compliment a man on his looks, sure, he'll appreciate it. If you praise his achievements, he'll feel validated. But when you tell him something about his soul, his essence, his character, that's when you touch a part of him that no one else does. And that's what makes you unforgettable. Men, especially those who embody stoicism, often feel like they must suppress their emotions, keep their struggles to themselves, and push forward without needing external validation. But beneath that armor, every man wants to be acknowledged for more than just what he provides. He wants to feel like who he is enough, that his humor, his kindness, his intelligence, his integrity, those things matter. So when you say, "I love how you always stay calm, no matter what happens," it's one of the things I admire most about you. Or, "I notice how much you care about the people around you, even when you don't say it out loud. That's rare, and I love that about you." Something shifts inside him. He may not show it right away, but deep down, he feels it. He feels seen. He feels valued in a way that goes beyond admiration. It feels like respect. And here's the real magic. When you compliment a man's personality, he will start to see himself through your eyes. He will begin to associate himself with the qualities you highlight, reinforcing his own sense of identity. He will want to be more of the man you see in him, not because he needs approval, but because you've reminded him of his own value. But let's talk about what makes a compliment truly powerful, because not all compliments have the same impact. The key is authenticity and specificity. A generic, "You're great," or "You're such a good guy," might be nice, but it doesn't leave a lasting impression. However, when you pinpoint a specific trait and connect it to a moment or experience, it becomes deeply meaningful. For example, instead of saying, "You're smart," say, "I love the way your mind works, the way you analyze things and see details most people miss. It's fascinating to me." Instead of saying, "You're funny," say, "Your humor is one of my favorite things about you. The way you make me laugh even on the worst days. It's something really special." Instead of saying, "You're kind," say, "The way you treat people, even when no one is watching, says so much about who you are. That kind of integrity is rare, and I really admire it." See the difference? It's not just about telling him something positive. It's about making him feel it. When you make a compliment personal and unique to him, it resonates on a much deeper level. But here's something even more important. Timing. Compliments carry the most weight when they feel natural, not forced. If you randomly drop a compliment out of nowhere, it might feel nice. But if you say it in a moment, when he's actually demonstrating that quality, it becomes powerful. Imagine this, he's just handled a stressful situation with complete composure. That's the perfect time to say, "I love how calm and steady you are, even when things get crazy. It makes me feel safe when I'm around you." Or maybe he's sharing a personal story, something that reveals his values or his heart. That's when you say, "I love hearing how you think about things. Your perspective is so different, and I admire that about you." When a compliment is tied to a moment, it doesn't just feel like words. It feels like truth, and that truth becomes a part of how he sees himself, how he sees you, and how he sees your connection. Now let's flip this for a second. What happens when a woman never acknowledges a man's personality? What happens when all he ever hears are compliments about his appearance or his achievements, but never about who he is at his core? Over time, he starts to feel unseen. He might be admired, but he doesn't feel deeply connected. He might be appreciated, but he doesn't feel known. And this is why so many men find themselves drawn to the woman who notices what others don't. The woman who sees beyond the surface, the woman who says, "I see who you really are, and I love that about you." And here's the truth. Once a man feels that kind of connection with you, he won't want to lose it. Because it's rare, it's different, it's something he doesn't just want, it's something he needs. So here's what you do next. Pay attention. Notice the small things, the way he thinks, the way he moves through the world, the way he treats people. And when the moment feels right, tell him, not in a way that feels rehearsed or over the top, but in a way that is real, effortless, and undeniably true. And then watch. Watch how he reacts. Watch how he starts leaning into that connection. Watch how, little by little, he begins seeing you as someone he can't help but want in his life. Because sometimes, all it takes is a few words to change everything. Now, if you're enjoying this so far, take a second to hit that like button and comment number 1 if you love this video. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, because what's coming next is the kind of thing that will make him cherish you in ways you never expected. 5. Wearing something he loves. There's something mesmerizing about the way a man's eyes light up when he sees you in an outfit that he absolutely loves. It's subtle, almost imperceptible at first. The slight widening of his gaze, the way he unconsciously straightens his posture, the flicker of admiration that passes across his face before he even realizes he's staring. And in that moment, something primal awakens inside him. It's easy to assume that men don't notice these things, that what you wear is more about you than him. And while it's true that dressing for yourself is always the priority, there's an undeniable power in knowing what he finds irresistible and using that knowledge to create an emotional and physical response. Because the truth is, men are visual creatures. But it's not just about what they see. It's about what they feel when they see it. Think about this. Have you ever worn a specific dress, a certain shade of lipstick, or a soft, oversized sweater, and caught him looking at you differently? Have you ever noticed how some outfits spark more affection from him? How he reaches for you more? How he leans in closer? How his compliments become more frequent and sincere? That's not a coincidence. Men may not always articulate it, but they associate emotions with the way you look. If you've ever worn a dress that reminds him of a beautiful date night together, or if you have a perfume that instantly brings back memories of an incredible moment you shared, then you've already experienced the power of sensory triggers. These subtle cues remind him of who you are to him, and more importantly, how you make him feel. But let's go even deeper. It's not just about putting on an outfit you know he likes. It's about the intention behind it. When a woman wears something she knows a man loves, it signals something incredibly seductive. I see you. I care about what makes you happy, and I want to be the woman who brings that happiness to you. This doesn't mean dressing in a way that makes you uncomfortable, or wearing things just for his approval. That's not the point. The point is choosing to accentuate what he already finds beautiful about you in a way that makes you feel powerful in your own skin. Maybe it's a certain color he always compliments you on. Maybe it's his hoodie that he loves seeing you in because it makes you look effortlessly adorable. Maybe it's a fitted dress that hugs you in all the right places, making his pulse quicken the moment you walk into the room. These small, seemingly effortless choices create an emotional response that words alone can't achieve. Because attraction isn't just about physical beauty, it's about the emotions attached to it. And here's something most women don't realize. Men love feeling like they have a secret piece of you that only they get to experience. When you wear something that makes him feel special, something that tells him I chose this because I know you love it, it creates a bond that goes beyond the surface. It makes him feel connected to you in a way that is both intimate and deeply personal. Let's talk about the psychology behind this. When a man sees you in something he adores, his brain doesn't just process, she looks good. It processes, she looks good for me. That tiny but powerful distinction makes all the difference, because now his attraction is tied to a personal experience. This ties into something called associative memory. If a man consistently sees you in a particular outfit, fragrance, or style that he loves, his mind begins to link those visual and sensory cues to feelings of admiration, desire, and comfort. And over time, just the sight of you in that outfit, or even the thought of it, can trigger those same emotions without him even realizing it. This is why men often have favorite looks on a woman. They might not always say it outright, but they know when something makes them feel a certain way. They remember how they felt the first time they saw you in that dress. They remember the way their pulse quickened when you walked into the room wearing that color. They remember the warmth in their chest when they caught you wrapped up in their hoodie, looking effortlessly beautiful in a way that no one else could replicate. And once those emotions are tied to you, he won't be able to forget them. But let's take this a step further. It's not just about what you wear, it's about how you wear it. Confidence is the secret ingredient that turns any outfit into something unforgettable. You could be wearing the simplest dress or the most casual outfit, but if you carry yourself with confidence, with an energy that says, I know exactly who I am, and I know the effect I have on you, then that is what will truly captivate him. Men are drawn to the way a woman feels about herself, more than the specifics of what she's wearing. That's why the combination of thoughtfulness and confidence is so incredibly powerful. When you wear something with the awareness that he loves it, but also with the confidence that you love yourself in it, you create an irresistible force. This is where Stoic love plays plays a role. A man who practices stoicism might not always vocalize his emotions, but that doesn't mean he doesn't feel them. The key is in creating an emotional experience that speaks to him without words. When you walk into the room in an outfit he adores, carrying yourself with quiet confidence. He doesn't have to say anything for you to know exactly what's going through his mind. It's in the way he looks at you, the way he suddenly finds reasons to be closer to you, the way he reaches for you without thinking. So the next time you're getting ready, think about this. What is something he's always loved seeing me in? What is something that has made his expression change, even for just a second? What is something that makes me feel powerful, confident, and completely in control of my feminine energy? Because when you combine intention with confidence, you don't just wear an outfit, you wear an experience. And that is what makes you unforgettable. 6. Small physical gestures of affection. There are moments between two people that don't require words. Moments where the energy shifts, where an unspoken understanding passes between you, where a simple touch becomes more powerful than anything you could ever say. And if you've ever absent-mindedly reached for him, brushed his hair out of his face, adjusted his collar, or let your fingers linger on his wrist, you've already seen how much these small, effortless gestures can affect him. Men aren't always vocal about their emotions, especially those who practice stoicism and carry themselves with quiet strength. They might not openly express how much these moments mean to them, but they feel it. They notice. They remember. Think about the last time you gently ran your fingers through his hair as he was lying next to you. Did you see the way his body relaxed? Did you notice how his breathing slowed? How his shoulders dropped just a little? How he leaned into your touch without even thinking? That wasn't just a reaction, it was a surrender. Because in that moment, he wasn't just feeling the physical sensation of your touch. He was feeling seen, understood, and deeply connected to you. Men carry tension in ways they don't always acknowledge. They are conditioned to be providers, protectors, the ones who hold everything together. But when a woman offers them gentle, affectionate touches, it does something they don't always expect. It makes them feel safe, not in the way they protect others, but in a way that allows them to let go. And this is where the real power of physical touch comes in. It's not about grand romantic gestures or obvious affection. It's about the small quiet moments that catch him off guard. The ones that remind him you're there, that you see him, that you appreciate him without needing to say a word. Imagine this, you're sitting next to him, and without thinking, you reach over and fix his tie. Not because it's necessary, but because you noticed, because you wanted to. Or maybe he's focused on something, deep in thought, lost in his own world, and you place your hand lightly on the back of his neck for just a second before pulling away. Just that 1 second of contact can shift everything. Here's the secret. Men respond to touch in a deeply emotional way, even when they don't realize it. It's not just about attraction, though that's a part of it. It's about affirmation. When you reach for him in these small, effortless ways, you're telling him, I see you. I'm here with you. I care about you in ways you don't have to ask for. And that's powerful. Let's be clear. This isn't about being over-clingy or constantly touching him for attention. It's about being intentional with your touch. It's about understanding when he needs it the most. When he's had a long day, when he's lost in thought, when he's carrying the weight of something unspoken. There will be moments when he won't say, "I need you right now." But if you pay attention, his body will tell you. The way his hands clench a little tighter, the way his shoulders stay tense, the way he exhales just a little too sharply. And that's when a simple touch, a hand on his knee, fingers brushing against his arm, a soft press against his back, can melt him in ways words never could. This is where Stoic love plays a role. Men who practice Stoicism often believe in control, in discipline, in remaining steady no matter what happens. They are used to holding everything together. But even the most stoic man feels. And when you're the one person who can reach past that controlled exterior and remind him that he doesn't have to hold it all in, that's when he falls for you in ways he can't explain. But let's talk about something that makes all the difference. Timing. Touching him at the right moment can make all the difference between an affectionate gesture and something he deeply craves. When he's talking about something important and you place your hand on his arm, you're showing him you're present. When he's driving and you run your fingers lightly over the back of his neck, sending a shiver through him before he even realizes what's happening. When he's stressed and, instead of trying to solve his problems with words, you simply lean into him, rest your head against his shoulder, and let the silence do the talking. Because sometimes the strongest love is felt, not spoken. Here's something that might surprise you. Men don't just crave physical affection, they remember it. If you've ever absent-mindedly played with his hair, if you've ever traced patterns on his skin while lying next to him, if you've ever wrapped your arms around him from behind, there's a good chance he still thinks about those moments. Because these small gestures aren't just physical, they are emotional imprints. They stay with him. They become part of the way he experiences you. And here's the truth. A man can get used to words, but he will never forget the way a woman's touch made him feel. So, if you want to create something lasting, something that lingers in his mind long after you're gone, start paying attention to the way you touch him. Make it effortless. Make it meaningful. Make it a language only the two of you understand. And if you've made it this far, you know we're getting to the most powerful secrets of all. If you're loving this, don't forget to like this video and comment number 1 below. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, because what's coming next is the kind of thing that will make him cherish you in ways you never expected. 7. Initiating affection and physical closeness. There is something undeniably powerful about a woman who is confident enough to initiate affection. It's not just about physical touch. It's about sending a message that says, "I want you, I desire you, I feel safe with you." That message awakens something in a man that no words ever could. Men are often expected to take the lead when it comes to affection, whether it's reaching for your hand, pulling you in for a kiss, or being the one to initiate intimacy. But when you, as a woman, reverse the roles, even in small ways, it shatters his expectations and pulls him into a deeper level of attraction. Here's the truth. Men love feeling desired. They love knowing that they're wanted, that their presence has an effect on you, that you'll crave them just as much as they crave you. Think about the last time you initiated a kiss. How did he react? Did you notice the way he seemed momentarily stunned before pulling you closer? Did you feel how his energy shifted how the dynamic between you two suddenly became more electric, more intense, more alive. That's because when a woman initiates, it taps into a man's primal instincts in a way he doesn't expect. But let's break this down. Initiating affection isn't just about obvious gestures. It's about subtle moments that make him feel wanted. It's the way you reach for his hand first when you're walking together, the way you lean into him without waiting for him to make the first move, the way you pull him toward you instead of waiting for him to come to you. These tiny acts may seem small, but to a man, they mean everything. When you take the initiative, it tells him something powerful, that you are just as engaged in the relationship as he is, that you're not simply waiting for him to make things happen, but that you're actively creating moments of closeness. And that makes a man feel not just desired, but secure in the connection he has with you. Here's where things get even more interesting. When a woman initiates affection, it triggers a deep psychological response in a man. It makes him associate being around you with feelings of warmth, security, and intense attraction. He starts looking forward to these moments, anticipating them, craving them, because unlike affection that he expects, where he knows he has to be the one to reach out, spontaneous, unexpected gestures from you hit differently. Imagine this. He's sitting next to you, completely lost in thought, maybe working, maybe scrolling through his phone, and then without warning, you lean in and press a soft kiss to his jawline, or you wrap your arms around his waist from behind when he's standing in the kitchen. Or you pull him onto the couch and rest your head on his shoulder instead of waiting for him to invite you in. Do you know how much power that holds? It's effortless, it's intimate, and it speaks volumes. Men, especially those who practice Stoicism, often guard their emotions. They aren't always vocal about what they want, and they certainly don't always express when they need physical reassurance. But that doesn't mean they don't crave it. In fact, for many men, physical affection is one of the only ways they truly allow themselves to feel vulnerable. It's their safe space, the one place where they can let their guard down without needing to find the right words. This is why, when you initiate affection, you aren't just making him feel desired. You're giving him a place to relax, to let go, to just exist in your presence, without the weight of the world on his shoulders. But let's take this even deeper. What happens when a woman never initiates, when she waits for him to always be the one to create moments of closeness? Over time, he may begin to wonder, does she really want me? Or is she just responding to me out of habit? He might start feeling like the connection is one-sided, like he's the only one who craves the intimacy between you. And once that thought takes root in his mind, emotional distance begins to grow. Here's something most women don't realize. Men need reassurance too. Even the most confident, self-assured man wants to feel wanted. He wants to know that the woman he's with desires him, not just because he initiates, but because she genuinely feels it. And the easiest way to communicate that is to initiate. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean being overly aggressive or making every moment about physical touch. The power of initiation lies in timing and subtlety. It's about knowing when to surprise him with affection in ways he doesn't see coming. When he's deep in thought, lost in work, and you run your fingers through his hair, grounding him in the moment. When he's standing in the kitchen and you come up behind him, pressing yourself into his back just for a second before walking away. When he's driving and you reach over to trace circles on the back of his hand, making him feel your presence, even in silence. These are the moments that stick with him. These are the moments that make him think about you long after they're over. And here's something even more important. Men remember how you make them feel. They might not recall every word you say, but they will never forget the way your touch, your energy, your presence made them feel completely and undeniably wanted. This is how Stoic love works. A man who is used to standing strong, holding everything together, will melt under the right kind of affection. Not the kind that demands attention, not the kind that is forced or performative, but the kind that is natural, effortless, and deeply personal. So, if you really want to ignite something powerful in him, start paying attention to the small ways you can initiate closeness. Watch how his body responds. Watch how his mood changes. Watch how his eyes soften when he realizes that for once, he doesn't have to be the one to make the first move. Because when a woman initiates, it does more than just create attraction. It creates security. It tells him that he is not just wanted, but truly cherished. And that's what makes him fall in love on a level he never expected. Love isn't built on grand gestures or dramatic confessions. It's woven into the small, seemingly insignificant moments that most people overlook. It's in the way you listen when he speaks, the way you stand by him in front of others, the way you send a message just because you were thinking about him. It's in the compliments that make him feel seen, the way you wear something he loves without him having to ask, the gentle touches that make him feel at home, and the way you take the lead in moments of intimacy. These 7 small things might not seem like much on the surface, but together they create an undeniable force, one that makes a man feel deeply connected to you in a way that words alone never could. Here's the truth. Men may not always express it, but they remember how you make them feel. They remember the moments when you made them feel important, respected, and truly wanted. They remember the warmth of your touch, the unexpected moments of affection, and the feeling of being admired for who they are and not just what they do. They remember the way your presence brought them a sense of stoic love, a love that is steady, reassuring, and powerful in its quiet strength. And once a man experiences that, he doesn't just want it, he needs it. What makes these small actions so effective is that they tap into something beyond logic, beyond conscious thought. They trigger an emotional response that is deeply rooted in how men experience connection and attraction. When you apply these small but meaningful gestures, you're not just making him feel loved, you're making him feel safe in that love. And that's what truly melts a man's heart. It's not just desire, not just admiration, but a profound sense of security, knowing that he has found someone who understands him in a way that no one else does. The best part, these are things you can start doing right now, effortlessly, without changing who you are. Because real attraction isn't about becoming someone else. It's about enhancing what already makes you unique. When you bring your own confidence, your own warmth, and your own understanding into these small actions, they stop being tactics and start becoming a natural part of how you connect with him. And when that happens, he won't be able to imagine his life without you. In a world full of distractions, surface-level interactions, and fleeting attraction, what you're offering is something rare, something unforgettable.